Hello, folks. Let's say you have a set of data from a form. It's a complicated form, has a lot of rows of a lot of items on the form. And what I want to do is write a query against some of these columns, but I don't want all of them, and I'm going to have to figure out which column numbers I want to use. So here's a quick way I've used to do that. So first of all, I'm using on a Mac Command Shift right arrow key. Anytime I say Command, think Control if you're on a PC. So Command Shift right arrow takes me to the last row of data. And using the count feature, I can see, oh, I've got 51 of these items that I'm working with. So what I want to do now is open up a new sheet, and I want to do a sequence, SEQ, oops, I got to do an equal SEQ, come on. And I want to do a sequence, and I want to do a sequence of 51 rows. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you can see now I have those row numbers actually done. And I think what I want to do, because I don't want to have this scrolling all over the place, I'm going to do a Command Shift down arrow key. Takes me to the bottom of my sheet. I'm going to right click and delete those rows. So as I scroll up and down, I don't end up losing my data. And I honestly don't think I necessarily want to have so many columns. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those as well. So here we go. What I would like to do now is I want to bring in these row headers. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to transpose, so equal transpose, and I'm going to do a transpose of this data here, which is basically the data sheet row 1. I'll go ahead and hit enter, and now I have a row number, or basically a column number, next to each one of my row headers. So now I can write a query, and I'm going to go equal query, and I'm going to do a query of this data here. Actually, I think I would be doing a query of the data that's in these rows, and I don't actually have any. So I'm just going to query all of this data, columns 1 through 3. Let's see what happens if I do that. I'm going to query that data. And in this case, I want to select col 1. Let's just see what we get if I go ahead and do that. Select col 1 and see where we come up with. Okay, I'm getting my timestamp. So what I would like to do now is, if I had a timestamp in there, let's actually stop and get a little bit of data in there so that we can actually use the data. So what I'm doing next is I'm going ahead now, and I think I'll move this query over. I think I'll move it over a couple of rows here, a couple of columns. So what I want to do now is I want to start to generate a query using just the columns that I want to use. So what I'm going to do here is go equal to, I'm going to do col and this number here. So we're going to get col 1, and that's going to autofill for me. So now I actually have these column numbers, which is what I was trying to get. So let's say in my query, I want to use col 1, 2, and so forth. So let's see how I can make that work. So what I'm going to do here, actually, what we want to do is use the join function. So equal join, and we'll join, let's get in here. We're going to join, and the delimiter is going to be a comma, And then I'm going to grab some different pieces. So what I really want is, I want these columns here, and then I want maybe these writing columns there, something like that. And then I'm going to want my math columns, my certain ones of these math pieces. Okay, let's just give that an example. And I don't need that to autofill, but now, a lot more quickly than I could, and more accurately than I could have typed this myself, I have this set of data. So I can copy this data, and then in here, I can go ahead and paste my columns, and let's see what we come up with. We get all of that different data. What I really wanted to do then was transpose that data and go ahead and transpose that. And so now what I'm getting is my column headers, and I'm getting the data that was collected. Now this would have been a much more difficult job to have tried to figure out which columns I really wanted. If I wanted some more of these columns, I can just change this formula. So with a number of different formulas, I'm making my work a whole lot easier to create this query and pull back the header columns of this data, and then actually pull in the data. And if there, for instance, was more data on, let me just take a piece of data like one of these I know I've copied. Let's just grab some of these and copy down so you'd see what would happen on our query. So what you're going to see is the query is going to have that data repeated by the different rows of data because I've transposed it. So I hope that's helpful. It's a nice quick way to have formulas build your query formula, which just gets a little bit tedious to build manually.